Hey guys, welcome to Serious Laughs. This is episode 31. Yes, you can heal your life.
How energy work can heal deep wounds from the inside out.
Hey everybody, I'm Molly and stretching is good.
Hi everyone, I'm Sheri, the author of The Friendship Diet. If you don't have friends, I recommend this book.
What?
What? And we have Yvonne Posada joining us today. Welcome, Yvonne Posada. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here where we can seriously laugh.
We can
We're gonna
seriously laugh.
And seriously talk about some amazing things that you do.
Guys, Yvonne
yeah.
Posada is a certified yoga therapist, an expert level myofascial release practitioner who trained with John Barnes. That's a big deal. Shaman. She is a shaman and leads plant medicine retreats and heals using energy medicine. And she's the business owner of Yoga Myofascial Release Therapy, also known as YMFR. Wow.
And it's myofascia.
Oh, and I just got schooled. Myofascia. Because I'm such a New Yorker. I'm like facial.
That's
It
what I
has to
did
do
too.
with your face.
No, it has to do with your fascia, which is all over your body. That's what actually holds everything together.
This is great. You know, this is great though, Sheri, because you are not the only one who was probably thinking it was facial, and I only know it because I work in the health club industry. So, and I'm so excited to learn about this. So that's hilarious. You're not the only one, Sheri.
Well, thank you. I thought it happens in your face and then it affects the rest of your body. Like, hey, Yvonne, do you want to hang out today? No, I can't because I'm working on my facial.
Oh my gosh.
It's myofascial. So
Myofascia.
I did that on purpose
Myofascial.
that time.
That's
Myofascial.
amazing.
What's the myo for? It's not mine.
It's muscle. So it's everything.
Oh my
It's
God. I
everything
thought it was
within.
like my facial. Okay.
No.
Oh, well, we're going to learn all about it,
Oh.
Sheri.
Yes, we are.
I need my hooked on phonics. Okay. So you, Yvonne, you wear so many hats. You've shared, and I want everyone to hear this, that your mission, this is a direct quote, is to introduce as many people as you can to learn how they can heal and live better lives through a breath-centric yoga practice that is particularly tailored to their needs.
Yes.
Wow. So can you walk us through what this healing journey looks like? Is the healing physical? Is it mental, spiritual, or is it all connected? And please school us on
It is all connected.
myofascial.
It is all
Fascial.
connected.
Fascial. Fascial if you love Jesus. I'm sorry.
You know what? I think it's actually totally fine because a lot of people think it is fascial. So it's fine.
Thank you.
You know, the more that you say fascia, fascial, you know, the more the people will get it that it's fascia.
It's fascial. Fascia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically what I do is, so you come to me and you're a runner. That's what you want to do. And you've been doing this for a long time. And then you fall and you sprain your ankle.
Mm-hmm.
And you come to me as a therapist. And what I do is I work on your fascia tissue. Because what happens with the body is that when there is an injury, whether it's anything, when there's an injury, your fascia tissue does this. Why? Because the body wants to heal. So it will quickly come in and say, I need to protect this area. And all your fascia comes in and just does that. So because you do that, you're able to walk. And then you're fine, you do physical therapy or whatever, and you go back out and you start running. And then you fall again. And guess what? It's usually on the same ankle, the same spot that you injured before. Why? Because the fascia wasn't lengthened. It was there to protect you, and you left it there protecting you. So the same injury will continue to happen until you're able to bring that fascia back to how it started. So once I see you and get the fascia back to where it started, then we start doing yoga myofascial release so that you can do very gentle movements with breath. So myofascial release really, or my business, Yoga Myofascial Release, is a combination of Vini Yoga, which was brought about by Gary Crofso from the American Vini Yoga Institute, and also myofascia, which was, John Barnes is known as the father of myofascial release. And I started training with both. And when I started training with both, because of my own medical conditions, I was seeing a lot of results within me, even though I've been doing yoga for a long time. So one of the things that I do is once I treat you and we start doing yoga, you become familiar with what we call the envelope breathing. And envelope breathing is that when you're doing yoga, you begin your breath, then the movement, you end the movement, and then the breath. So if I have an injury in my hand, then I'll begin the inhale, and then I begin to open my fingers. Then I stop the movement as my breath also stops, because your breath doesn't want to go past that injury. Because if you keep going, it's going to go, ouch. And that's what you don't want to do. You want to be able to have your body and mind working towards your health. So that's where, and then what is also really beautiful is we believe in Vini Yoga, repetition is key. So if we keep doing this and we're not getting any results, we're not getting better, something is just not working right, then I, as a myofascial release practitioner, will say, you know what? This is your homework. Get a ball, or even during our session, you take a ball and you simply place your hand on top of the ball. Now you begin to notice your breath. And as you begin to being focused into the breath, you begin to notice how the fascia is lengthening. And then you go back to practice, and guess what? You're able to go a little bit farther. So that's how I combine both. And to be totally, totally honest with you, I know it works, and especially after my diagnosis with compartmental regional pain syndrome, known as CRPS, because when this started, I could barely move my arm. In fact, right now, even though I've been doing a lot of yoga, I can't reach the back of my head, but there's no pain. There's just restriction. And then I can also now almost touch my heart. And I couldn't do that before without pain. So doing the fascia work helped to lengthen the fascia so that the pain that was causing the harshness in here from the CRPS to lengthen. And that reduced my pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's so synchronistic that Molly is focused on stretching being good today.
I know that was weird. I put that is because you talked about the injury with the running. I had back problems forever and ever and ever. And then I did the thing where it's like, well, just go get the steroid injection. I'm like, that's not helping. Finally, just did this physical therapy, which I just knew I had to do and was very patient with it, and gone. And I knew how to stretch, and I wanted to ask you about foam rolling. I'll get to that in a minute. But I started doing some work again with a new class format that I was working on teaching here at the gym I work at. And it threw everything back out of alignment again. And I'm back to not square one. It's not as painful as it used to be. But I'm back into the stretching and the things that I learned in therapy.
Can I tell you one thing?
Yes, please give it to me.
There's a difference. There's a difference between stretching and fascial release. In
Okay,
stretching,
yes.
you open your palm up and you feel the stretch.
Uh-huh.
You really feel things lengthening.
Yes.
In fascia, you
Whoops.
just go until you let it. Now you have to connect your mind to what's happening in here, and you can feel lengthening.
The lengthening. Okay. That's good because
Yeah.
what I do in my stretching, then I try to breathe into it and I can tell that that helps. It's not what you were talking about. And I like what you're talking about with the yoga. Can you tell me what the foam rolling is then? Like if I roll out my quadriceps a lot, my glutes, does that have anything to do with myofascial release?
Well,
Be totally honest, because this is gym. This is like the gym culture, right? We're told to use foam
right.
rollers and things like that. So I'd love to know what you have to say about it.
Okay, so I don't particularly like foam rollers. There is a
Okay.
particular foam roller that I do like, and
Mhm.
it's from the melt method, and it's a very soft foam roller, but it's not made out of foam. She's got a specific way, and I can't remember, her name is Sue something or other, but her foams rollers are very pliable.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing as if you take a ball and you take a tennis ball and you put a tennis ball in the back and then you go back and you try to go back on that. It's painful. So then
Right.
what's happening there? What's happening is now you're cutting your mind off of the pain because the mind is saying ouch and your body is saying ouch, but you're thinking you're doing something. When in
Yes.
fact, if you take a softer ball and you put it in the area, if it's too painful, the message is get away from the area. Why? Because if you have tightness and you put the ball directly on that tightness, it may cause you to say ouch. So you put it a little bit further because as soon as you do that, it begins to lengthen from a different direction.
Mm.
So there is no pain. And then you can go back and try to put it on that same area that was really painful.
Okay. Yeah,
And it may not hurt after all.
that makes
But
sense.
it's
I mean,
that body, it's that mind-body connection. It
Molly's
really
blown
is.
away. It is.
Well,
It
and
is.
it
Yeah, go ahead.
it is it makes so much sense. And I'll just sit there on the dang floor with the foam roller and you do the slow roll and you can feel it and you can feel it. And then it just like gives way and you're like, God, it just hurts.
Yes.
And then I'm just sweating, thinking I'm doing the right thing. Oh, that's
But,
fascinating.
in a
You're
way, it's,
combining the body and mind and
yes,
spirit together, whereas what Molly does and what I do and
yes,
what so many people do without meaning to is we disconnect and ignore the
yes,
body-mind connection. And then we're like,
yes.
come on, toughen up.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Exactly. Exactly.
I'm going to
Because you
mention
can
my
do,
mother's balls. This sounds weird. I got her ball, non sequitur. My mom, if she's listening, she's in Florida, and I got her these balls for, I'm not going to say the word fascial,
Pasha.
fascia. Fascia. I got her these balls for her fascia. That is a sentence I never thought I'd say. So, and she said, and she's typically, sorry, Mom, but she's usually focused on what's not working. And she actually called me up and said, I like my balls. They're really helping. I squeeze them. And they were specifically I found them on Good Morning America, Deals and Steals. And so this is that, I'm going to, the
Fascia.
fascia. It's for the fascia. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying it, but it is that. So that's because they use that word in the thing, and they're soft and they come in different sizes.
Yes. Yes.
And she's noticing a difference. So this is the
Yes.
work to do.
Good.
Yes, and it is absolutely amazing. In fact, here's something to laugh about, that I usually have like 2 or 3 balls on my bed.
That's
Not the balls you're thinking about, but on my bed. So when I was moving, we found like 3 or 4 underneath the bed. And I'm thinking, I wonder what they think, when the movers come. Because I give my balls away. I take them on the airport. I take him on my flights. I put him in my back. They're just, I have one in my car, because you never know. If you feel a little pain, you take the ball, you put it back there, and it's going to work.
Yes.
It's going to work. In fact, when I flew to, I think it was Africa, they actually didn't let me keep my ball. No, it was Mexico. They didn't want to keep my ball. I had it on my carry-on bag. And they said that you couldn't keep it because it would explode in the plane. I'm like, are you kidding me? So now I take one. Yes. So now when I fly, I take one in both of my suitcases. I take one in my carry-on, and I take one in my purse just in case I wind up losing it. And when not available, I take an orange. That's what I did in Italy when I lost my ball, because you couldn't find balls anywhere in Italy.
Oh, geez.
So an orange works just as well.
Interesting.
Oh, that makes sense.
Is
because the oranges can give way, whereas an apple has the same shape, but it's hard.
Yes.
I wasn't being funny, Molly. I was being serious.
But that's
seriously. Seriously?
Balls should never be hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what she said.
Well,
okay.
They should never be hard. They should be soft and pliable.
Soft and pliable balls coming away.
That's
Well,
right.
no, they shouldn't be soft balls either.
No.
If they're soft, you're not getting. It's a sweet spot.
It's not. Yeah.
That's right.
Sweet. Okay.
That's right. And if you're using a foam roller, just don't put it in the area where it hurts. Put it away from the area where it hurts. Lay down, breathe. 2 to 5 minutes, and breathe. And you will notice the fascia releasing. And when you go back, it may be just enough that you can actually put it on there. But the rolling, in my opinion, does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
What about massage?
It just rolls. It's just massage. Yeah. It's just massage.
Is that what
really? It's temporary.
Okay. Yeah.
It's temporary. Yes.
But this is actually treating.
Yes.
As opposed to massage, which is maybe you feel better, but you're not treating. Is that it?
Well, think about what happens in massage. In massage, you actually go into your mind. So it is helping you in your body, and it's also helping you, mentally as well, because you're relaxed. But if you're trying to treat, if you're trying to treat something in your body, like in your back, I would definitely say to get a ball 4 inches, that you can inflate, and keep them everywhere in your house, in your car, because you never know. And then if it's not going away, seek out a myofascial release practitioner. Many of us are physical therapists. So sometimes they are going to be accepted by insurance and sometimes not. But it's myofascial release work is mental, physical, and spiritual all at once.
Now,
even when you're self-treating.
Yeah. Okay. Well, even when you're self-treating, she said,
yes,
which is great. Now I'm gonna go into this with a whole different mindset when I start, doing this on myself. You mentioned a little bit with your arm. Is that what got you to discover this type of therapy, or was it something else?
It was actually my knees. So I don't have any cartilage in my knees, and I haven't since I was 21. And I was a massage therapist, and I've been hearing about John Barnes. And I actually went to one of his, what are they called? They're not retreats, they're seminars. So I went to one of his seminars, and I was actually on the table. So John Barnes treated me, and it blew me away. After that one time, I was able to go up and down stairs, even though it's very slow. But before that, I was going up and down like Frankenstein.
Oh, geez.
One here, because I had been told for years, I saw 19 orthopedic surgeons, and I had surgery twice, especially on one, the other one only once. And I was going like this because they told me I had to avoid stairs. I had to avoid sitting for long periods of time. And I still have to avoid sitting for long periods of time. But now I know how to treat when my pain is really strong. And if it's not working, I go and see my therapist. Did that answer your question? Because I forgot it.
It did. It did. That's where it all
Yeah.
started. You became curious
Yeah.
about the myofascial.
Yes.
So
Yes.
John
You're gonna-
Barnes, his treatment of the fascia in your knee
Yes.
made such a transformative difference.
Absolutely.
And you're saying you also teach clients how to treat it themselves in
Yes.
various parts of their bodies. So
Yes.
wow, you're teaching us how to
Yes.
fish. That's great.
Yes. In fact, I'll tell you another really interesting story with this one. I went to a seminar, I guess a few years back, and my knee was also in a lot of pain. And I was assisting in a what's called the Women's Health Seminar. And so John said, this is internal work. So John said, let me try something if you're willing. So I'm like, okay, sure. And I thought it was just going to be me and John treating me. And the whole class was there. But he did a technique, an internal technique, that when I got off the table, my knee was fine. Why? Because everything is connected. So when you have pain here in your shoulder, it may be coming from way down below. So what I did I think it was in 2023, I went to another seminar and I couldn't lift my arm. And they did a breast pull. And after my breast pull, I was able to lift my arm.
What's a
Oh
breast
my
pool?
gosh.
You just take your breast and you just kind of do now you don't, you don't
Right.
bring
Everything's gentle. Right.
everything is gentle. You just you just basically hold the breast and that's it.
Oh.
The therapist is, or even is just doing a very gentle pull, but not a stretch, a very gentle pull where again, you connect your mind and you feel what's going on. The same thing that you do with a shirt. I can pull my shirt or I can just,
Mm.
and if
Is it
I
also helpful to envision the muscles or the muscles? Is it to envision them lengthening and feel it? Is that part of it at all?
well, you can, but in the fascial work, you are in pretty much an altered state of mind.
Oh,
So when you're there because you're breathing, then you're allowing the therapist to do the work. And the therapist is just feeling, and she's feeling what the fascia is doing. One of the things that the misunderstandings is fascia is what really holds us together. So fascia is like spider webs within our body.
Mm.
And it goes from front of the body to the back of the body, to the right of the body, to the left of the body. It goes into our muscles. It goes into our bones. It goes into our cells. Everything is made of fascia. And fascia used to be something that was ignored by the medical community. And now they're paying attention to it. In fact, there's actually a fascial symposium coming up in New Orleans in August. And so fascia per se is really coming out. And John's been doing myofascial training for over 50 years. So it's amazing work. It's really amazing work. I was going to physical therapy and they were causing so much pain that I said, I can't do this. But I felt like I had to do it so that I could stay with the insurance and in case I needed an MRI and things like that. And I said, I can't do this. This is so painful. And the first time that I went for treatment, I was bawling. I was crying so hard. And that's what gave me the respect and the honor of what we had been trained to do, because a therapist is just holding your hand and the patient, me, is just bawling. But you know that you're not doing harm because you're following the tissue. You're not forcing anything. Nothing is being forced. And even though I wasn't able to get full range of motion with that 1 week therapy for the therapist program, I was able to get a little bit more. And then the second time I got a little bit more. And then when I moved here, it was basically, I had to see her, my therapist, I had to see her like twice a month. And then finally in September of last year, I was able to move my arm without pain. It comes back because I don't know if it's going to ever go away, but to live without pain, to be able to lift a banana and eat it without pain is just miraculous. So I do give a lot of respect and honor to myofascial release. And I want to invite people to really try Yoga Myofascial Release Therapy, because you learn to heal your own body. You learn to notice when you're doing certain asana, and you do that with the breath. It's beautiful what you feel. And in fact, I'm also trying yoga with San Pedro, and trying to see how that works. Now, I've tried San Pedro when I had a therapist come to my home, and it was really interesting because I was in the sacrament of San Pedro. I was able to feel when she got disconnected. So when she went out on another world or was thinking something else, and then my essence asked her to come back, and she did.
Can you explain to listeners San Pedro, if people are hearing that name for the first time?
San Pedro is a cactus that we also use in psychedelics for, it's a male energy. So we use that. So why is it a male energy? Because a male energy gets us into our left brain. So it's the one that organizes, that puts our thoughts together, that thinks about things. So my thinking is, if I do myofascial yoga under the influence of San Pedro, then people are going to be more into what is my body doing, as opposed to me doing the body. The body is going to do you.
Wow.
So that's something that I'm working with, and we'll see. But it's the way to connect people to their bodies, because even if I was to teach a class in Yoga Myofascial Release, people don't really connect with their bodies. They'll go inhale, exhale, and yes, that's going to work, right? Because you're moving, but it's very different. It's very, very different. And when you hold something and you give it that 2 to 5 minutes, the fascia is going to start to open. And that's the difference. And anybody can do this. I mean, your mom could take the class. Did
you hear that, Mom? I'll take it with you. How is it on Zoom? Like, how do we take the class with you?
Well, okay. So because of my arm, I had to put things aside because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't videotape. I could do yoga, but I couldn't do anything with my arm. So I started, now that I'm able to move, is since September, I've been trying to put my studio together, which is behind me. And my goal is to start doing myofascial release yoga classes online. And that's my goal. And my goal is, let's see what happens here, because people need to, I'm going to start from scratch, because Ujjayi breathing is also very important in the Vina yoga that we do. And, really knowing and connecting with the breath is very important. So it's going to start, I'll have to let you know when, but, who knows at the moment. I'm thinking that maybe within 6 to 9 months, I'd be able to really start, because I'm also planning on moving so I can afford to live now that I'm going through this non-amicable divorce. So I'm hoping that I can do, once I set up the permanent studio, it'll be a little bit different. And now that I have the mobility, then I could be able to do that. But it was through yoga and myofascial release that I was able to get movement in my arm. Absolutely, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's
because when you're in so much pain, you need to have something that allows you to move to just before the pain. Because if you go past the pain, your brain is going to say, and you're still doing it. And that's going to bring harm to whatever it is that you're doing.
We need to mic drop that. We need to Molly is our amazing editor. Because that is, I can't speak for other cultures, but it is a Western way, the American way to, suck it up. That's what we're told. Just swallow it, keep going. Even our branding, like Nike, just do it.
Yes, exactly.
There's no do it, but be gentle because that doesn't sell. And so we have that meme virus in us that says, unless you're pushing, you don't deserve self-esteem, or you haven't earned confidence. You haven't earned.
And that's your ego.
It's your ego.
That's your ego.
You're enough. You're enough.
Yes.
If anyone listening, you're enough. And I love that this idea of listening, tuning into those spider webs within our bodies. And it's almost like a symbiotic dance in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And there is something that we also do call unwinding. And in unwinding, you basically put some music on, and then instead of, kind of dancing, you let your body move. You let the body kind of follow, and you just move. And it's beautiful because it really opens you up, and it really allows you to connect. So when you are moving, and when the body is doing the movement.
Mm-hmm.
At first it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's amazing because you do let the body move you. And the other thing that I really love about myofascial release and the Vini yoga is that if we think about it, we came into this world, we took our first breath. When we die, we're going to take our second breath, our last breath, not our second breath, our last breath. What about in between? Can we not use the breath as well in between to help us heal? Of course we can.
You just did some myofascial spiritual guru with us. I don't know if you saw that. Anyone who's watching.
I did. I was like, what was that?
And the timing was perfect. You breathe your first breath at birth and your last breath at the end. Yeah. And then the thumbs up. Yeah. The thumbs up. There's, maybe that's San Pedro. He's giving you a thumbs up.
I have no idea, but whatever is happening, okay, I'm all right with it.
You're on mute, Molly.
Yeah, no, that's never happened before. When the thumbs up before, I was like, oh, Sheri must have given her a thumbs up. And then you had this firework behind your head. And I was like, what the hell?
I have no idea. So
that's great. I love it. I'm like, is this live? I'm looking. No, it's not live. We're just recording. How funny. I want to definitely talk about the medicine. Sheri, I want to get into the medicine before we wrap this up.
Yeah. Is there a difference between plant-based medicine and energy medicine? And if so, how do they work differently? And also, are these medicines administered with Yoga MFR?
Well, that's what I was saying, that I'm trying to introduce San Pedro with Yoga Myofascial Release to see how that works. That is just on a trial at the moment. With me, it works beautifully because it really brings me more into really noticing my body and noticing what it's doing and being grateful for what it does. Not that I'm not without it, but it just brings you into a state of mind, or brings me into a state of mind that is just more inward. So I can feel it more. So I can really notice the fascia really lengthening, and I can feel when I do the breath and the breathing in it, it's like, wow, I can feel it. So it really just, for me, it seems to really connect me more with my fascia. And I like that. I really, really like that. As far as plant medicine, I'm still a shaman with Pachamama Sacred Paths, and I do retreats. In fact, we have one coming up here in June 20th, I believe. And, that's where I actually give sacraments. And, plant medicine is miraculous. It really is miraculous. The way that it healed me from this traumatic and dramatic divorce that's happening in my life. I really felt that there was something wrong with me. I really felt that I needed healing. I went to talk therapy. Talk therapy was no good. My family was saying that I needed to see a psychiatrist because there was something wrong with me. So that's why I decided to go and see a psychiatrist when I moved here. The psychiatrist said, well, you have to see a psychologist first before we can let you see a psychiatrist. And then I decided to try plant medicine because I had already tried it before. And it changed my life. It changed my life. It really empowered me to be the 64-year-old woman that I am now. It empowered me to go by myself to Africa in February for my 63rd birthday. I was scared to death because I can't go up and down stairs. I was scared because I couldn't really move my arm very much. And I had to count on a man, a stranger, who was my guide at the safaris that I did, to pick me up and put me in the Jeep and take me back down. It's like, oh my gosh. But it really empowered me. And I realized, because I was thinking then, I want to be able to go on vacation. I'd love to be able to travel, but how can I travel by myself with my knees? And now with my arm, I had no idea that my arm would get as better as it has. So I thought, safaris, those are safe. And so that's why I decided to go to my first safari in Africa for my 63rd birthday, and it was amazing. And then I went to Mexico to receive the HAMPEC training from Pachamama Sacred Paths. And I was able to climb, I can't remember the name of the place that I went, but all the way up, which I know that I can do. I can go up, but it's going down that is very difficult for me. And it was amazing that I could do that. And then I went to Peru by myself. And again, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I am doing this by myself, that I don't need, somebody else to help me. That was so empowering. So I owe that really to plant medicine, because plant medicine revealed what I needed to see about myself, that I am a beautiful woman on the inside and I'm a beautiful woman on the outside, that I can work with my body because I've been doing it with myofascial release, that I can ask for help if needed. Mm-hmm. So when I was going down and people knew that I couldn't go down, one gentleman, beautiful man, his name was Leroy, stood not behind me, but he was there just in case I needed help. And so now I can, and I ended the safari with the meals that they offer in public. What are the ones where you go and get your own plates? I can't remember.
Like a breakfast buffet?
Yeah, buffet. Yes. Mm-hmm. I was scared because it was very full. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if somebody runs into my arm? And if somebody runs into my arm, what am I going to do? And so I asked for help, and they were bringing me, the food. And that was empowering to have to feel the confidence to ask for help from strangers when I could barely ask my family for help. But to ask strangers to come and help me, that was just amazing. It's just so, so empowering. I can't tell you how happy I felt doing that. So that really just was my indication. I need to keep doing this. I need to do this. And that's why I decided to become a shaman with Pachamama. And now I'm working with energy medicine. And with energy medicine, basically, the table that I'm sitting in actually has all the little chakras here. So we just sit one-on-one. I use a pendulum, and the pendulum will tell me, is this chakra affected or not? So I'm doing this on purpose for you. But this is a no, okay? And then sometimes my pendulum will go like this for a yes. I had no idea a pendulum could actually talk to you. But it's amazing because when I do the energy healing for people, and this is all via Zoom, I go back and test the chakras, and the pendulum is now not moving. So whatever I have done works. And you don't have to leave your home. I just did another one, an illumination. It's like, well, what's your issue? Well, my issue is I'm depressed. Okay, let's work with depression. Okay, what do you want to work with? Okay, you tell me what you want to work with. And then you lay down. I watch you on Zoom, and I'm working on my table on your chakras. And if your chakra is the one, say, for example, your safety, which is your first chakra, your root chakra, then I work with that. And I release the energy from the chakra of whatever issue you have. And then I illuminate it. And then we come back and check the chakra and with the pendulum, and it's gone. It's cleared. It doesn't mean that you don't have to come back,
Right.
but you're peeling the layers of the onion, which is the exact same wording that John Barnes used with myofascial release. Every time you come in for treatment, you're peeling the layers. So remember when I started with the ankle that you hurt, and it was like this?
Mm-hmm.
You work in, you peel it, you peel it, you peel it. And there may be a memory when you were 2 years old that was the first time that you actually hurt that ankle that comes. And then you release that, and then you're feeling much better. It's amazing. It's all connected. We're all connected.
And we're all connected to each other.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
why is there ethereal fascia?
I believe that there is. I believe that there is. And I'll only say that because I just did an ancestral healing. And I brought my father, who is now gone. And as part of that, you also, so you basically, in that one, you say, this is my dad. And so I blow his energy, his love, anything in here. And so that now becomes my father. And I talk to him, to the rock. And then I turned around, picked up the rock, and then it was him talking to me. And then we use a stick towards the end we check the chakras to find out which chakra your father actually affected. And we checked it. And then I take that with a stick and I take it and I just start moving around and really letting go, cutting the cords, the energetic cords that were linked to whatever issue it is that I'm working with. And then I burn that in a fire ceremony to let it go, let it go. And after that, it's like, oh my gosh, you feel like you had that conversation with your father that you wish you had, but you never had.
Oh,
This
You
is
feel
so
like you've healed.
fascinating because I heard from, this is going to sound crazy, Bashar, the channeler. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yes.
And someone else said, and I can't remember who the person is, but they talked about a bloodline release letter where you write.
Yes.
You've heard of this? And again,
I just did it.
It ends with a burning. You burn the letter and it's alchemy. You're letting the ethereal cord be cut.
Yes, I just did a womb healing with Via, who is the girlfriend of Andres, who is the one that runs Pachamama Sacred Paths. And her womb healing ceremony was absolutely wonderful because we created an altar with our ancestors, our mothers. We did a necklace with 127 beads. And then we did a womb healing at the very last ceremony. And and in between that, we also wrote a letter to our grandmothers, 7 generations back. I had no idea that this letter was going to be read later. And so as part of the ceremony, once the Zoom is off, I read the letter out loud. And I was crying. I was crying for me. I was crying for my mothers. I was crying for all that, the lineage of women in my family that it must have suffered the same way that I did, must have had the same struggles. My mother also loved a man for, I think, 30 years. He divorced her as well. So it was the same pattern, following. So I can just imagine and think that she must have gone through this as well. So it was beautiful. So yes, I do. Now I do believe in all that. I do believe in all that. And I believe that God is the one that is really helping through all of this, because we may not believe in Jesus. We may not, but we believe in a higher power. We believe that there is something greater than ourselves. And so I think that that when we bring that into our healing, we can heal ourselves. We can heal our bodies. And there's so much out there, but it's really all about coming in here and asking this, what do I need to heal? And really coming into that power of your own empowerment so you can reach out to you from the inside and heal all the shadows from your past. so that you don't continue to live your life thinking, I'm not good enough. This pain is crippling me. I'm going to be an old lady and it's going to get worse. No, let's just come back and give yourself the power.
Oh, that's beautiful. I timestamped that. I love how you phrase that. One quick question. You did kind of walk us through a couple, like if somebody came to me, here's how we would work with the chakras, how we would work with myofascial. Who can benefit from working with you?
At the moment, I believe that anybody with an injury can benefit from working with me. Anybody who is depressed can benefit from working with me. Anybody who, older people who, are my age and older, who are afraid of yoga. Let's not be afraid of yoga, because yoga is not meant to be athletic. It's to be there to help you. We can do it on a chair. I've done it on a bed. I've given people things to do before they get up so that they know how to get up and feel better, and then have your own yoga practice. That's my intention as a Yoga Myofascial Release therapist, is for you to have yourself empowered to know, I'm hurting right now. What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the time for you to release that hurt, release that pain. So I would say really almost anybody.
And can you help people with different parts of the body? Like, I know a lot of women struggle with TMJ. You have, people who struggle with recurring throat infections or it's all connected.
It's all connected. Yes, absolutely. Now, something with like TMJ, that's probably a little bit more where you have to actually see a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you are depressed, then you hold a lot here. And so part of the energy release is to let go of here. What is it that you're not saying that you needed to say? Why is this? And I can't touch this side, but why is your jaw? So imagine my fingers touching my other side of the jaw because I can't reach there. But why, is this part of the things that I couldn't say? When you were a child, or when you were married, or when you were whatever,
Which is why more women get TMJ.
Could definitely be the reason why.
You don't hear men have it as much, because women, it's a meme virus. Again, women have been trained, just be quiet, be polite. That's not ladylike.
Yes. And so we hold it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought of it that way. Sheri, do you have TMJ?
Yes.
You do? Oh.
But I'm treating it with, I go to a specialist, but I discovered mine because so many women were saying the same thing. All moms struggling, and mine got the worst. And I have a past of constantly having, just, you're being too sensitive, That's the shadow self I'm working on. It's like, no, I'm not being too sensitive. It's
ayahuasca is the feeling sacrament. Ayahuasca is the one that connects us to our feelings. So when we have an ayahuasca ceremony, you will truly connect with your feelings for men and women.
Which is why when beforehand you were going to psychologists who sent you to psychiatrists, and you were being cognitively told what you needed to feel experientially with ayahuasca. It was like it wasn't connecting.
No.
And that's not to say you have to have ayahuasca. There are other ways to feel. You could do
all of this energy. In fact, we talked earlier, and I know we have to go, but in fact, the neurodynamic breath work, which I'm currently training in, is another fascinating tool, because you do this in the privacy of your own home with headphones and music, and you start breathing, and then suddenly the body starts breathing itself, and then you have images, just like the images that you have in ayahuasca, just like the images you have in pranayama. You begin to notice all of these, and you you make sense of your life. You make sense of the world. You make sense of your pain just with breath work. So that's another absolutely fascinating. That's why I decided, okay, this is something else that I want to do, because I want to reach as many people as possible. There are so many ways that we can heal, and yes, I'm a scientist. So I do go in for a diagnosis, but I want to come back and say, okay, how can I heal myself? Because if I go and tell a doctor I'm doing myofascial, I'm doing yoga for my knees, the first thing they say is don't squat. I'm like, okay, sure. But it was actually Yoga Myofascial Release that helped me squat. When I started, I had to use, those bolsters. I had to sit on 3 bolsters when I started yoga. And now I can actually sit on my heels, and I'm a lot older.
Because age doesn't mean as much as we give it. It's where you are in your spirit, in your soul, in your journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I want that I'll take two doses of neurodynamic breath work to go, please.
Yes.
Let us know.
Google it online. Google it online. It's, your first one is free. So why not take a chance?
Please become certified. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's promote the heck out of Yvonne, Molly.
Yeah.
Share all that with our listeners before we close this amazing episode.
But just remember, I don't really have much going on the internet. I think if people want to connect with me, probably the easiest way is through my website, even though, I don't have a website yet, through my Pachamama or Myofascial Release, Myofascial Release centers. In Sedona. You can also contact me through the American Vini Yoga Institute and through my email, which is Bannister. Those are great ways to communicate with me. Things will start to change as I begin to transition from Bannister to Posada. So, we'll see how that goes, but I'm going to keep for as long as possible and then try to make that switch where I'm going to stay with Posada Bannister for a while until people can really find me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, all of this information we'll put in the show description so they can click links and we'll make it easy for them, because I think people really need to jump on this bandwagon. It was just very, very eye-opening for me, especially with the myofascial stuff. Boy, oh boy.
Not that I'll ever say it. I'll never say
John Barnes is fabulous. He's 80. He just turned 86.
Jeez.
And he's still leading seminars.
Gosh.
He's just absolutely fabulous. And Gary Kraftso just turned 70. And I still see him on a weekly basis on Zoom.
Cool.
So it's all about continuing to learn and continuing to really open ourselves up to the possibilities that God has given us. Let's not get rid of that. Let's really know that we have the ability to heal ourselves. Yes.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Well, there you have it. There's another one in the can, guys. Remember, when everything's going wrong, it just means you're crafting a great story. Stay tuned for more episodes where we turn life's lemons into laughable tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep finding the best and the worst, because life's too ridiculous not to laugh at it.